Hey, why didn't I go live there? Hey there, from me, Brent Graham of Good for the Game, and welcome to this a build-up to the Rugby World Cup Final, of course, between New Zealand and South Africa taking place later today. We've had a good few chats over the World Cup, and we're ready to go again. It's Gavin Cohen, a.k.a. the Oracle Rugby, Oraclepedia. You can call him any one of those things. Gav, great to have you on the show, mate. What a big match we got in store for us.
Yeah, how's it, Brent? 100% right. It's the biggest game of our lives, I suppose. We had a big one 4 years ago, but this one's bigger. It's New Zealand and not England. So yeah, tougher test. Last time I took minus 15 in the final with confidence at 20-1, and Andre Pollard in the points. But this tournament's been a lot harder. As mentioned by lots of pundits in the few days leading up until today, suggesting that South Africa took the hard road. And I always remember that book by Clem Sunter when I was at school. You can take the low road or the high road, and we took the hard road, getting to the final, having to play every one of the top six in the rankings. So
yeah, we certainly have. I mean, I think someone was pointing out last night, I saw on Twitter, England came third. I don't think they played anyone in the top six in the rankings, other than they didn't beat anyone in the top six. They obviously lost to South Africa. So very different. I mean, we have been told in the past, I know in 2007 and even in 2019, South Africa got a bit lucky with the draw. If we win this tonight, there's no such thing as got lucky with the draw. We've had the toughest possible draw you could have had. And it's going to be very interesting. Now, tell me from a long-term point of view, you've got a few bets obviously riding on South Africa?
Yes, and as I mentioned last week, I had South Africa, Argentina first and second. Obviously, that's gone. Another bet I did take was South Africa first, New Zealand second. One of my mates from Pretoria, long-standing friend, probably about 25 years, I've known this guy, tells me he can control the result. He believes New Zealand are going to win tonight because he's backing South Africa. So he just had a smaller bet on South Africa. Doesn't want to lose his money, but knows that New Zealand are going to win, and he's really hoping that he's not able to control the result. I did tell him he's not able to control it, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Yeah, I've got South Africa. I took all of those opportunities where there were refunds or extra bets or whatever they're called. So yes, I do have quite a bit coming. I haven't covered anything, Brent, because I am getting a couple of refunds. I haven't spent millions on this, but the biggest price I got South Africa was a small bet, 6-1 in July. 11-2 in July. But honestly, I haven't climbed into them like I did the last time. And I always remember people saying to me last time, "Hey, what price did you get South Africa?" I told them I got 6-1, which is what they started the tournament at in 2019. And I said, "Why didn't I take the 16-1 that was on offer 2 years ago?" And as you know, no one was taking the 16-1 because South Africa weren't winning the World Cup.
They looked terrible. Yeah,
they did, correct.
So
I'm averaging just over 3-1, about 3.5, 3.7, I think, in all of my stuff. I'm happy with that. Not having any bets today, just going to watch the rugby. Got a couple of racing bets, but other than that, I am involved in this cricket. I backed New Zealand to beat Australia. That was yesterday, actually. So Australia got a fantastic score, and New Zealand look like they've got a chance. They're certainly not favourites yet, but they look like they've got a chance. And yes, I'm just looking forward to tonight. Got a couple of people coming around, having a braai later. And it's going to be a good day. I'm expecting us to win. I really am. I think that, Rassie's not a mug. He knows what he's got to do. I think New Zealand have had an interesting 6 months going into this tournament. They've played reasonably well. I'm not going to suggest they played fantastically against Ireland, although they did have a good game. A lot of it was mentality, or the mental side of it for Ireland. I was looking at a stat earlier. South Africa and Ireland have been in the most quarterfinals together. Both have been to the quarterfinals 8 times. And of course, they haven't gone anywhere past that. So I think New Zealand were made to look very good against a very poor attempt by Argentina last week. I did think Argentina would come back. In fact, at halftime, I took plus 26.5. I honestly thought I was going to win that bet, and of course, I was nowhere near it. So I've not been able to read Argentina right at all. In fact, I went for them against England in that first game. Last night, I took a small minus. thinking England would thump them. That didn't happen. So they played better last night than they did in any of the games they played, actually. With a few whispers of decent play against Japan, but I think Japan were a bit tired. So I've not read Argentina right at all. New Zealand, I have read correctly. I've got all their results correct so far, all their minuses that they've had, and obviously the game against Ireland, I expected them to win, and the game when they played France, I expected France to win. So I'm 100% for 100%. Sorry, I'm whatever 6 for 6 in New Zealand, and if you throw in that 35-7 game, I did call that one right as well. So I've been able to call New Zealand quite well, and South Africa. The only bet I lost on South Africa was last week, where I did go minus. It's a schoolboy error. I did not look at the weather. I didn't even consider the rain. I think England played very well in the conditions, and they were very unlucky to lose at the end. But you know what? Good teams find a way to win. As we know, winning's a habit, and they know how to do it. So I've done well with I'm 83% South Africa, or whatever it is, and 100% New Zealand. So I'm going to say South Africa win this game today, and I think one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to be a close game, or South Africa are going to run away with it. But I can't see New Zealand beating this team. I can't see New Zealand beating this well-managed team by Rassie and Jacques Nienaber. I don't think that Foster's going to win this. I don't think he's clever enough to win it. I think he's been lucky to get the results he has because of the opposition they've played and the fact that they've got decent players. But if they're told what to do, I just think South Africa win this game by between 4 and 7 or between 24 and 27. I don't think there'll be anything in between.
Well, two things of interest there. One, I was on Twitter, and I was on a New Zealand betting thread, and they saying almost exactly the same as you, except the total opposite. They're saying this could really come down to the wire, but on the other hand, we could be 20 points clear at half time. I think conditions will probably count a little bit against New Zealand in that, but and I mean the rain definitely suited out for England last week. I thought we were pretty poor in the rain, but yeah, I think maybe New Zealand is a sort of side you want them to have as slippery a ball as possible when they're running at you. So I think the rain, might play a little bit into our hands. Bert coming in, Bert Raven saying ABs were good winners against Ireland, and that was the other point I wanted to make, Bert. Yeah, I disagree with Gavin in one sense. I don't think New Zealand they've had an easier route than us, but I think Ireland were a very tough game. And I'm also like Gavin, not a big Foster fan, but for me, what's got Foster to this point is his support staff. Ryan coaching the forwards and Schmidt there as well. I think the moment the New Zealand bought those, it was like an acknowledgement. Our coach is not up to this. Let's bring in the support staff. I can't get a New Zealand to tell me straight whether or not the support staff were forced upon him or if he chose them. I always got the impression they were kind of forced upon him. And since then, New Zealand have been a different side. So I do think they're pretty well coached, even though I don't necessarily give full credit of that to Foster. Let's just have a look at some of the comments coming here. Bitsy saying he's got a 3-unit bet on South Africa futures. I got it 5-1. Appreciate the vote of confidence. And WJS saying we've deserved our time at the top for a long old time. Yeah, we have been there for a long old time. And New Zealand have, of course, also been at top of rugby for a long time. So this is really going to be a cracking game. Gav, I want to bring up a couple of the boosts that you got on offer there at Boyles. I just chat through them. I know some of them are couch critics, but I want to get in particular to one which they've put up for me. So I'm just going to bring that up now and run through that. Geordie Barrett to score try at any time. That's 5. I'll actually take the decimal. So that's
4-1, correct.
Yeah, was 3-1, now 4-1. The next one could be an interest. Cheslin Colby to score try in the first half of the match was 11-1, now 12.5-1 or 25-2. Do you think there's been any interest in that sort of a bet?
There's definitely been interest in these. In fact, all of the specials have, all the boosts have interest. In fact, there's and I call them a boost club, who almost take every single one every time they come up. So the Dion Fourie one interests me. And so Couch, if you remember the game against Ireland, Dion Fourie scores in the corner, we win the game. So, he was at the back of that maul, the one that was called.
Yes, I remember that one. Yes.
Penalty or whatever it was. But yeah, it's one of those moments, and the same sort of moment with England last week. if we don't win that scrum in the corner, they score and they win the game. Those are the kind of things. But I got to tell you, Couch Critic, on his last try scorer, he doesn't need to be a 1 out of 6 because he's taking 16 and 20 to 1s. He just needs to get 6 and 100, and he's in front. He's well in front already with a couple that he's already found. So Dion Fourie, last try scorer, definitely looks, appetizing.
Yeah,
Geordie Barrett,
1, nice price.
Yeah, Joy, you see these anytime try scorers ones, I don't like these small prices. I mean, this feels like backing a 5 to 10 shot in a horse race, 4 to 1, or 3 to 1. It just feels short for something that, you think you're getting some value. I don't think that's value. That's not something I would take. I would only be interested in double digits, and I'd be very interested in the last try scorer, because that's a Couch has put work into that. That's not a thumb suck. That's not a dart throw. That's who's going to be at the back of the mall, South Africa needing to score a try, or whatever the opposite of that is, the New Zealander who's going to come on as the replacement. I don't even know if they've got a replacement hooker, but he's also a runner to score the last try. Both teams to score 20 points and South Africa to win. It is raining today, Brent. I did some research this week as opposed to last week. So, yeah, I apparently it's not raining tonight. Well, when I say tonight, I mean kickoff, 9 o'clock time. It might rain in the evening. But it's quite weird because we've only up until these last couple of weeks, we didn't have much rain in the group stages.
Yeah, it's true. It was virtually no rain. I was actually thinking about that with the cricket as well. I mean, we haven't really had a lot of rain interfered with matches there either. I want to pop down to the one that I've got you guys to put up for me. Anytime drop goal was 5-2. Now, last week I got 7-2, so I can well appreciate why the bookies bought the price in, because I know I had a bit of a go at it, and I think quite a few people sort of had a bet on that as well. With Farrell drop goal, actually came out of nowhere. It wasn't looking like a very good bet at all, and there were no other attempts in the match. But we got the anytime drop goal here, 3-1. Gav, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, Brent. We read that article that I saw it in the newspaper as well as on the WhatsApp group, saying that, talking about the upcoming game, South Africa and New Zealand, and then afterwards saying that's what they said in 1995. It was actually what they'd written. So I can understand why people might be thinking drop goal stuff here. They've got to be thinking of it being really close, and I've taken really close out of my parameter of what I expect here. I think this is minimum 4 points for South Africa, 4-7 or 24-27. So I'm not looking for a drop goal. Andre Pollard's not the kind of guy that will take one early on. He might take one at the death. I'd have to be wrong with my call for this bet to win. I don't think New Zealand are going to be in a position to take a drop goal, because they won't be in that position. They'll be way behind. They'll be looking for tries in the corner. But from a price perspective, I can tell you, Brent, from the early 2000s, this kind of market has been priced up at 15-10, 18-10. So, last week, as you said, 7-2. That's a big price for this. And, we've boosted it up to 3-1, which is,
I'm happy to take. I can tell you, I'll be taking the 3-1 there. And I mean, let me always say to people, you can never back a bet of this nature with a hell of a lot of confidence, because for one thing, there could be 3 drop goal attempts in the game and none of them could go over. I mean, that's quite possible as well. But I just think, I think I can see South Africa. I agree with you. I think South Africa more likely to take the drop goal than New Zealand. I personally think this could be a pretty close game. And I also think you could get a situation where a side leads by 11 points or 12 points and takes the drop goal just to, or gets a penalty advantage and takes it. I do see conservative strategies being employed as far as drop goals and that goes tonight. So I'm taking that boost. And by the way, there's a link to the boosts down in the description box, so you can link directly through to them and place your bet. Sorry, Gav?
For you to be right, Brent, England would have to be playing, and Ford would have to be playing off Farrell, because those are only oaks that are going to take one after after they've got 9 points on the board, going for 12 or 15. I don't know. I think this is very speculative. I wouldn't be looking for rent money or granny's money for this. This is coin jar money at best. But yes, 3-1, I suppose. it's bigger than what it used to be. Let's put it that way. And also we haven't seen that many drop goals. I was going through all of the stats today. Yanni de Beer's 5 still a record. There was someone who got 6 in a tournament. I think I can't remember what I saw earlier, but yeah, I mean Yanni de Beer. You remember that day? That was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, 5 drop goals against England. I was on England that day. Let me tell you, I was watching with mates. It was absolute torture, and they were like rubbing my head in the ground, and I mean it was terrible. But Gab, I'll give you look. I will say one thing: the 9 World Cup finals has been 5 drop goals, but 2 of those did come in the same match back in 2003. Johnny, I don't know if Johnny hit both of them, but it was in the Johnny Wilkinson match.
Yes, sorry. So yes, that was one thing I noticed. Johnny Wilkinson has the most out of everybody. So yes, he's also not playing, and he's also English. So yeah, okay. So in the finals, you say there's been four games or 5 games?
Drop goals. 5 and 9, but only 4 of the games have had drop goals in because one of them had 2.
Okay.
Having said that, there was no drop goal in a for the large part a tight game. There was no drop goal last year, and I know the year
and it
before,
wouldn't have been in 2015 either. 2015 was a one-sided game.
2015, it was fairly one-sided, although New Zealand sort of pulled clear at the death as well. But yeah, so look, I'm having a bit of a speculative play there. I do have a South Africa interest. Gav, I'll tell you what I'm weighing up probably. I might get involved in the total points or something just before kickoff. I'll wait and see what conditions look like. But for me, it's a very strange, and I want to ask your opinion in terms of being close to the industry and how things are going. I almost get the feeling like a lot of us are like exhausted at this point, whether it be punters, guys like me writing content, or just Springbok fans who've like been through the mill for the last 2 weeks. And I kind of got the impression almost, there hasn't been as much, to me, it doesn't feel like there's as much betting going on to this final yet as I've seen on maybe the quarterfinal games and that sort of stuff. What's your view on that?
Yes, I think that in this situation, Brent, I think, punters are already on South Africa. I think they did what I did and they backed them before the tournament because 4 years ago, they weren't sure. They've seen them win. They've seen how well we've done up until now. They've seen us beat New Zealand a couple of times in the last, couple of years. Last year, in fact. So another 6 into the crowd. Nice work there for New Zealand. That's the only game they're going to win today. That's for sure. I think everyone's on already, and the heart attack stuff. The pacemakers are probably selling out. I'll tell you what I've done. I buy the 200 ml BioPlus bottle, and we were laughing. I actually picked up this word. We were calling them Gen Zers, and some of the Gen Zs that work with me, they call themselves Gen Zs. I was watching this YouTube chick, and she calls them Zoomers. So I quite like that one, ZOOMERS. The Zoomers don't like BioPlus. They drink Red Bull. They think that solves their problem. I'll tell you what, I've had a bottle of BioPlus in the house for, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is. For late nights where you've got to get up a little bit earlier. I've always had a standard if I've got less than 5 hours possible sleep, I have a bit of BioPlus. And I'm already gone through my second bottle in this World Cup alone. And what's happening here is it's these late nights where the game's finishing at 11 o'clock, 11:30. By the time you're actually asleep, it's 1:45, and you've got to wake up at 6 o'clock or 6:30 to go to work. So, yeah, this is, I've always wondered which tournaments are worse. Is this worse than the New Zealand-Australia tournaments where the games are early in the morning? These are at great times, but they're putting all of these games at 9 o'clock. Whereas if this tournament was in South Africa, the final would be at 5 o'clock. It would be in the afternoon. You can braai afterwards. Tonight we're braaiing, but we're braaiing before the game. It's an unusual kind of thing. It's not the way we live our rugby in South Africa. So, yes, I think it's taken, having South Africa play these games on Sunday nights. I know that it's Saturday tonight and it was Saturday last week. There were 3 or 4 of them on Sunday nights. Oaks probably didn't come to work on Monday. I mean, that would have been very unproductive. I don't think they thought too much about that. What I did like about this tournament, Brent, is that they didn't have a lot of midweek games, which I quite liked. I quite enjoyed the fact that this was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the Cricket World Cup. You can have a game every day, and I understand that, and that's fantastic. But with rugby, you can't because they need the rest time. And, this is another question. Excuse me. New Zealand have had an extra day. And I've always asked this question in the past. how many days before an extra day doesn't count? In other words, if someone has 23 days off and someone has 22 days, obviously there's no difference. But at what point in international rugby is it cut, where there's a distinct advantage? 4 days is far better than 5 days. Is 5 days far better than 6 days? And is 6 days far better than 7 days? I mean, I've never really thought of it until this particular situation.
Yeah, it's a hell of a good question, that. And I think it also depends on the type of game and that. And I mean, the Boks have had a full week, and I say a full week, to recover. And New Zealand have had a full week plus.
Yeah, so this is a 7 versus 8.
Yeah, 7 v 8. So how much of a difference does it make? My feeling was if New Zealand were involved in an absolute trench warfare battle on the Friday night against Argentina, and we had similar against England, I would say that it wouldn't make a hell of a big difference. But I think the fact that New Zealand had a relatively easy run on the Friday, and then South Africa were really pushed out, because I was looking at those England players, and that's why I took 5-1 Argentina yesterday at halftime, and I also took the plus 11.5, because I looked at some of those England players like Curry and that at halftime, and the Oak just looked, he looked like he did when he came off against South Africa type of thing. He was buggered. And I think it does ultimately at that level, it sort of takes it out of you. And I think that's South Africa's biggest challenge. But having said that, if you look at a lot of the players last week, I mean, Etzebeth only got 50 minutes last week. I mean, it was still 50 tough minutes, but he was flat. I know in horse racing, Gab, you'll know they often say, second run after a rest, a horse might be a bit flat or whatever. And I just felt that after that French game, South Africa were a bit flat last week. And I think the French game was our game. I don't think we're going to suffer too many ill effects from the England game. I think we'll be up for the fight tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 7 days is enough. I do believe it's enough. I just wonder how much 8 days is better. That's all. I suppose
that's it. I think
4 and 5 is big difference. But
I think what it does to you is, if you're a coach preparing the team and you've got, you want to give them, say, a couple of days rest before you maybe get into a little bit, and then you go for light runs, because let's face it, you're not going to work on the guy's fitness in the week before final. And I guess at the end of the day, that just gives the coaching staff and that an extra day to sort of prepare. Okay, look, let's give the guys another. Where's the team that plays second has to sort of move straight in there. See if you Monsieur Teta's joined us as well in the comments. Just remember the Boks played New Zealand in the rain in Twickenham. We won. Yeah, we won't read too much into that, but I think in the back of every South African's mind is the fact that, look, we have beaten New Zealand convincingly. We don't expect to do that. Well, maybe Gavin expects it. I don't think many of us who has it. And I assume, Monsieur, you're talking about Scott Barrett, the lock. He's a bit of a penalty liability, but I would say he's a pretty good final. And the other stat you're throwing up, the Boks have never lost a final. So, Gav, anything else for you to add before we head off? Anything else you like on the weekend?
Let's do a voucher, Brent, similar to my multi from the quarterfinals. Let's do a 15-minute margin onto a 20-minute margin, so halfway through the first half. So whatever the score is as the clock ticks 20 on the screen, multiplied onto the halftime margin, multiplied onto the 60 and the final.
Okay, hold on a second.
Doesn't matter who's leading, just the difference in score.
What will score be as clock ticks onto 20 minutes? The margin.
Yes. The difference between the two teams. That's all. Simple as that.
Okay, 20 minutes. What was the next thing? Onto?
Yeah, halftime, onto 60, onto full time. Onto the final whistle.
Onto 60 minutes, onto full time. And it doesn't matter which team is leading, whatever. If there's a team leading by 5 after 20, they're only
Correct.
2 ahead at halftime. It's 5 times 2 is 10. Someone's leading by 8 after 20 minutes. 5 times 2 is 10, times 8 is 80. And they win by 2, it's 160. Okay.
Correct. So zeros will just be scratchings, because as you pointed clearly out last time, that anything times 0 is 0. So, yeah.
We'll just count a 0. Do we count a 0 basically as a 1? Then it'll stay as its own.
Correct. Yes. Or scratching. It's irrelevant. It doesn't count. In other words, if they tied at any of those points, then it just multiplies onto the next one.
Okay. Well, we'll keep talking for a minute or two to give the guys time to enter, because there is, of course, that bit of a lag. But let's see what sort of predictions we're getting. If we're getting some there.
Yeah. So we'll do a 500 rand voucher if you're within 50. Well, in fact, let's make it 100. If you're within 100, you get 500. If you're the closest and you're outside of 100 points out, then you'll just get a 250 voucher.
Okay, we're going to give the guys a bit of time, because I see, he was obviously listening initially. He said 20 minutes, 0-3. So see, what you got to do there is you got to say 3 is the margin there. What do you think the margin of the winner will be?
The 20-minute margin multiplied by the halftime margin multiplied by the 60-minute margin multiplied by the full-time margin.
That's it.
Yeah, not 40 minutes or 80 minutes. This is halftime and full-time.
That's one thing when you got Gav give some very interesting ones, and they are very interesting. I enjoy them. But it does maybe take. Well, we should have put this up at the start of the show to give the lads a bit of time to think. But have a
you've written what will the score be? That's why.
Oh yeah, that's maybe. Let me just do that. So okay, but what did I say? I said what will the score be?
Yeah, call it the quarter quad. The quarter margin quad.
Quarter quad. So 20 minutes margin.
Multiplied by the halftime margin, multiplied by the 60-minute margin, multiplied by the full-time margin.
Let's see if this makes any sense then. Okay.
So it could be 27 at the end.
Hey?
It could be 27 times at the end. They win by 27.
It could be, okay. We've got a prediction of the score there, 35-12 to the box. But, okay, so let me give you mine then. I'll work on mine. I think we're going to have a margin of 5 points. We're going to have a margin of 3 points at 20 minutes. We're going to have a margin of 6 points, so that takes us to 18. I then bring in the margin back down to 2 points
36
after 20 minutes. So that takes us to 36. And I'm going to go with a 5-point winning margin. So that takes us to 180. So I'll post mine here just out of interest. I won't go for the voucher, but let me post that there. We've got some predictions now, right? Let's have a look. Oraclepedia himself coming in at 100. We came. Did you come into the same as me? Oh, of course. It's going out on your YouTube channel as well. That's why.
I'll tell you what mine's going to be, and then we work out mine. I'm going to go.
Smith coming in at 420.
I'm going to go 7. I'm going to go 7 times 9 times 18 times 27. 30,000. Let's go 30303. There's my number. 30303.
Okay, let's put your number. Now, Scene's gone.
He's got it now.
He's gone for a high one. And I guess, what would be if there's a start, like one of the teams does lead by 15 after 20 minutes or something, then it could go through the roof. So you got 30,303 there. But Sharkbrain, I'm enjoying this comment, Gav. Sharkbrain says, I'm a bit confused here, but I've had a few clip drifts.
It's quite simple. How many clip drifts will you have finished? How many brandies will you have finished by the 20-minute mark, multiplied by how many you would have liked to have had before halftime, and carry on.
So just remind us quickly. So what's the prize and what's the points margin? That you get the double.
All right. I think it's easier to do the points margin this way. I thought about it while you were talking. If the result is less than 500, then it's 50. So let's say within 10% of what the result is. If you're within 10%, let's do it that way.
Fair enough.
So in other words, if the result is 30,000, you need to be between 27,000 and 33,000 and the closest.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do 10%. Whatever the final result is, 10% up and 10% down.
If you're the closest and you're within 10%, and just so is it a 250 and then it doubles to 500 if you're within that 10%.
Correct. And let's use a really low one here. Let's say the result here is 36. We're going to round up to 4. So it would be 32 to 40 in that range. So you can round up to make the 10%, not round down.
Okay. Let's see. Scene, you're going to have to work that out for us. 3 times 9 is 27 times 18 times 17. Oracle, I'll let you work that one out for us. Werner coming in with 2,744. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Yeah, I think we must definitely do more of these competitions going forward, but perhaps give the guys, the guys have got it now, but definitely where they have a little bit more time to think. But I think it's a great, it certainly makes for good excitement, that's for sure. Anyways, Gab, anything else? Anything else?
If you get this right, you've got to, if you get this really right, you're going to get it right. Sure. And your day will be even better. Yeah, I don't have anything else, Brent. I think, I'm just quite excited about the game. I'm excited about the day. I'm enjoying the cricket. I haven't followed exactly what's happening. I can't see how much they've got still to go. I think it's 100 and something to go. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the cricket. Just happy, Brent. It's been a nice World Cup. I've enjoyed it. It's also a nice time of the year. It's not winter. I think these World Cups for us, generally in winter, it's cold. This is nice. You can braai, and the windows are open and the sun's shining, and I don't know. It's nice. I'm enjoying this time of the year.
Yeah, very much. And what do you think? Just quickly, anything on the Stormers Scarlets game? I see -24.5 handicap in the URC.
That Stormers team looked fantastic against the Lions, Brent, and then they didn't. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
No, that's great. But anyway,
but I'll be honest, I haven't looked at the URC. I'm only going to look at it from next week. I'm only going to look at it when you guys get back.
I think a lot of people have taken that view as well. Just to mention on the competition, guys, what I'll do is I'll come probably on Monday and I'll just look through all the answers, and I'll reply to you if you were the closest and give you my email address, brent@goodforthegame.co.za, and you can message me and we could arrange for you to get your voucher. The Just Right Girls is very much in the All Blacks camp. All Blacks 12 plus. Gav, that's definitely not a result you are forecasting.
It's certainly it's in the race, Brent. I mean, of course, New Zealand can beat us by 20. There's no doubt about it. I just don't see it happening tonight. That's all. But I haven't been fantastic with my calls. In fact, I've been quite poor, really. I'd like to say. I've had a couple of decent games where I've won some money, but I've had some shockers as well. I haven't. I'm also not putting in the work I did, 2017, 2018, 2019. So I can only blame myself there. And I've also kept my stakes much lower than I used to. I mean, I used to put my wife's salary on a game. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I know that story very well. Yeah, thanks a lot, Gavin. I've also done a video preview about an hour ago, just on the game itself, having a look at some of the betting options available. So I'll put a link up in the top corner of the screen after this video is done. You can click on that and go and watch that. There's also a bit of a competition on there as well. But thanks everyone for joining us on the Saturday afternoon in the live chat, and thank you to the Oracle. Oracle, I hope that New Zealand come home for you. And let's shout those box home tonight. It worries me a little bit that both of us are already drinking beer, and we've still got 7 hours to go until kickoff.
I'm going one non-alcoholic onto one normal beer, so I'm pacing myself nicely for tonight. So I won't be smashed.
100%.
I don't know about after the game, but before then I won't be.
No, for sure. A few more comments coming in. Shark Brain saying All Black Eyes in the morning if you're watching at a pub SA. Donovan saying, go Bokke, New Zealand is going to make a good second place. Thanks very much, everyone. Great chatting to you. And Oracle, enjoy it. We'll see you soon.